Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this video, I'm going to talk about the concepts of gheerah and dayooth and tabarruj. This video, I'll be repeating a lot of what I said in the hijab video that I did. This video is basically an extension of that video. So, a few definitions first. So, the word gheerah, it basically means having a protective jealousy over women. More specifically, having protective jealousy over your, wives and sisters and daughters. It also refers to protective jealousy over Islam. So there is, so for example, if someone, draws a cartoon insulting Islam or making a video or whatnot, then, every Muslim is supposed to kind of feel it. They're supposed to kind of feel, a little angry because you're supposed to have, this protective jealousy over Islam. So, and then the next word is dayooth. It basically means cuck or cuckold. And then the third word is tabarruj, which refers to unlawful beauty or beauty that women should not show. So many Salafi websites and many social media accounts of those red pill and Incel Muslims and the holier than thou women, I've mentioned these people several times over. They often use the words of gheerah and dayooth and tabarruj, usually to troll other Muslims. And Salafis, because they're extreme in every way pretty much, they use these terms, in a very extreme way, very illogical, nonsensical way. And I wanted to clear all this up a bit. So there's a few issues here. There's one group of people who freak out at the sight of women. Okay, at the sight of Muslim women in public. These are usually the Salafis. And the other group of people are those Muslim women who dress very immodestly in a very sleazy and sexually open manner. Okay, the latter is where the concepts of dayooth and gheerah and tabarruj apply. It doesn't apply to the women who just appear in public. Okay. And you see that a lot among trolls on social media and Salafis. They basically say, a woman who is in public she's showing tabarruj, and her husband, her father, they're dayooths because they're not showing any kind of protective jealousy. Here's an obvious, eye-opening way to understand these concepts. Do you have a wife or a sister or a daughter who is wearing a bikini in public? Is she shaking her bottom on camera for everyone to see? Are you a man who manages his sister's or wife's OnlyFans account? OnlyFans is a website where men usually pay women and women do sexual things. Do you have a sister or wife doing that? Do you have a sister or daughter or wife who is doing porn? These men are dayooths, okay? These men have no gheerah. These women are showing tabarruj. Okay. I said this in my hijab video. Unless Muslim women are wearing something very tight or revealing or sexual, or they're acting in a very sexual way, okay, unless that's happening, then really no one should have any kind of worry. Unless Muslim women are doing all of this, then yeah, obviously the concepts of dayooth, gheerah, and tabarruj, they apply. But if they're not, then they don't apply. Okay. If your wife or sister or daughter is being very sexually open and you're not doing anything about it as a brother or father, then you are a dayooth and you have no gheerah, you have no protective jealousy. It's only in these specific contexts where it's only in these specific contexts that the concepts of dayooth and gheerah apply, and in nothing else. Okay. You find often on social media people saying, oh, Muslim women are pearls and gems and they should be all covered and hidden away. And if they're not hidden away, then there's no gheerah among these women's brothers and fathers. Obviously, that's wrong. Okay. As I've said in my hijab video, what men are attracted to in women, they're attracted to the sexual body parts of women. If women are showing off these body parts, if they're doing something sexual, then, as I said before, the concepts of gheerah and dayooth apply. As I said in that hijab video, it doesn't matter if there is a Muslim woman who is good looking or attractive or beautiful. It doesn't matter if she's pretty. As long as she's not doing anything sexual or inappropriate, as long as she's not wearing anything immodest, then it's fine. No one should have any issue. It doesn't matter if she is on social media, if she uploads photos and videos of herself. It doesn't matter if she's outside the home working. It doesn't matter if she's out at the mall shopping. As long as she's not wearing anything immodest, as long as she's not wearing anything sexual, as long as she's not doing anything sexual, it's fine. No one should care. There's no blame on Muslim women if they're good looking. There is blame if they do something sexual or if they're dressed inappropriately. Obviously, if there's someone being a creep towards a Muslim woman, then obviously that's different. But there's no blame on her if she's not doing anything wrong. Okay, I explained in my hijab video that it's not an Islamic requirement. Okay, I repeatedly said that sexually immodest and sleazy clothing is what's condemned in Islam. Okay, so if someone is being a creep or pervert towards a Muslim woman, and if she's not wearing hijab, but at the same time she's not, dressed inappropriately, then there's no blame on her. When women want to entice men, when they want to cause arousal in men, they purposely show off their breasts. They purposely show off their bottoms. They show off their vaginas, or they do something sexual, which can be done, which can be done by a woman who is completely covered, head to toe, or can be done by a woman who is immodestly dressed. These body parts of women is what causes arousal in men. These body parts are what women need to cover. And if they don't, then yeah, then it's tabarruj. then their fathers and husbands and brothers, they have no gheerah. They're dayooths. Okay. As I said in the hijab video as well, there's a difference between women who show off their body parts and women who are just, naturally curvy. Obviously, that's fine. That's not an issue. It becomes an issue if they purposely show off their body parts. Men don't respect women who show off their private parts or do something sexual. Okay? When this happens, then men consider women as objects of desire. Okay? Other than that, we don't consider women as objects. I'm a man, okay? I grew up in the West. I went to a mixed gender school, which was mostly made up of white, non-Muslim kids. I know how they think. I know how the boys think. Yeah, we can find women beautiful if they don't show off those body parts, and that's fine. But arousal happens when women show off their breasts and bottoms and, vaginas and legs, and or if they do something sexual. There's clothing meant to show off women's chests and, bottoms. If a Muslim woman wears this, then it's the tabarruj. There is a reason why porn websites, they feature naked women. Men don't go onto porn websites because women are showing off their hair or faces or arms. They go on because women are showing off their private parts. They're showing off their vaginas and butts and breasts and doing something sexual. This is why men go on porn websites. I also mentioned in my hijab video that, body shapes of women, they'll always kind of show. It doesn't matter if you're covered head to toe or if you're wearing a short skirt. Sometimes it might look like women are dressed sleazy and sexually immodest in a sexually modest way, but, they're just curvy, and that's fine, as I said before. The point is, it's not a problem if they're curvy or some body parts show if they bend over. As long as they're not purposely doing it, as long as they're not purposely showing off their body parts, it's fine. A Muslim woman being beautiful, it's not wrong. A Muslim woman who is pretty, it's not wrong or sinful, it's not haram. Being sexual and immodest is haram. A Muslim woman can look beautiful in hijab, or she can look beautiful without it. At the same time, she can be immodest with hijab and immodest without hijab. Bottom line, again, it becomes haram if women are doing something sexual, or if they're wearing something inappropriate that shows off their body parts. There's women on YouTube who do bikini hauls, bikini try-on hauls, or legging try-on hauls. Notice how these random women barely have any subscribers. They barely have any women subscribers and viewers. Notice how the count meter of these videos, it skyrockets when these women, when they do bikini hauls and legging hauls. It's men who are watching, usually it's men who are getting enticed, getting aroused by the sight of a woman's bottom or legs. Notice how the count meter is high for these videos and very low for videos where women are not. you know, showing off their bottoms and or breasts. You know, the trolls like the Salafis and Red Pill and Incel Muslims and the holier than thou women. You know, they're fanatics about the words gheerah and tabarruj and dayooth. When you talk to them about a woman's appearance, they always make it seem as if we all live in some prison show where there's only gangster men, and when a woman comes to visit, they get all excited. This is not how the majority of society is. The overwhelming majority of society is not like a prison show. Also, the overwhelming majority of men are not rapists and catcallers and sexual harassers. The overwhelming majority of men are not creeps and perverts. So I do find it strange when these, especially red pill and incel Muslim men, when they talk about gheerah and dayooth, they always portray as if, the environment is made up of pervert men. That's why they always say Muslim women should not be in public. Because in their heads, for some reason, we were all living in some kind of prison show. We're all living in some kind of prison show where we're in jail. We men are in jail, and we see a woman, and we're all, catcalling and being perverts. This is not how the overwhelming majority of men are. These Muslim red pill and incel Muslim men, they're men's rights activists. They're the male equivalency of radical third wave feminists, and they're calling out their own gender. They're calling their own gender mostly perverts. Yet at the same time, they're always advocating for Muslim men's rights. It makes no sense. It's contradictory what they're saying. I've mentioned in my previous videos that there's Muslim women from secular Muslim countries. So many Arab countries are secular, many African Muslim countries are secular, Turkey is secular, European Muslim countries are secular, Central Asian Muslim countries are secular, Iran it's not secular, but everyone who comes out from there is always secular. And obviously, Muslim women who come from secular countries and environments, they dress however they want to. They show off their body parts. I've mentioned before, it's not really worth. It's not worth getting annoyed at this because secular Muslim countries, their environments are already westernized, so doesn't make much sense to get angry about it. So if as I said, many Muslim women from these secular Muslim countries, they dress inappropriately. Gheerah and dayooth and tabarruj obviously apply here, but it doesn't make much sense because it makes sense, but it doesn't really make much sense to kind of correct them because they're already westernized. If you have a tough time understanding what I'm talking about, use non-Muslim women as an example, okay? I'm talking about gheerah and tabarruj and dayooth again. Here's a checklist. Are these women, are they showing off their breasts, their butt, their vagina, their legs? And I mean actually showing off. I mean actually showing off and not, just appearing curvy. That's one. Two, if they're not showing it off, are they doing something sexual, like a striptease or twerking or flirting? 3, are they actually having intercourse outside of marriage? If it's a no to all of these, then gheerah, tabarruj, and dayooth, they don't apply. Even if she's good looking, as long as the 3 conditions I just said, if they're not fulfilled, then it's fine. So now apply these same to Muslim women. Take the 3 conditions I just said and apply to Muslim women that you see. Is it a no to all of them? then gheerah, tabarruj, and dayooth, they don't apply at all. There's the Salafis and the red pill and incel Muslim men and the holier than thou women. They use the words dayooth and gheerah as a slur towards other Muslims. They'll call men dayooths, other Muslim men dayooth, if their wives and daughters and sisters, if they work with men, they call them dayooth. It's wrong. They're not dayooth. These trolls who troll in the name of Islam, they're already munafiq, so there's no point talking about Islam to them. But no, there's no dayooth or gheerah that applies here. There's so many Salafi videos and websites where they say men are dayooth if their women are not wearing hijab, or if they're out quote unquote mixing with men. Go back to the 3 conditions I talked about. Checking no to all of 3 of them, then gheerah, dayooth, and tabarruj, they don't apply. The Salafis who talk about like this, they're idiots and they're wrong. I've explained already when these concepts apply. I'm so tired of Muslims on social media using the words of dayooth and gheerah as a slur towards other Muslims, other Muslim men, usually. What this can cause, it can cause men to not have any trust in their wives and sisters and daughters. I talked about honor killings before. I've told you all that I've taken screenshots and I've linked to websites and Facebook pages where Muslim men talk about how they'll kill their sisters and wives if they dishonor them. This is extreme gheerah. Okay. So when you have extreme gheerah, look what happens. If you troll other Muslims with these words of gheerah and dayooth, it'll cause insecurity. It causes distrust in their own women. Obviously, it's wrong and extreme. When you take gheerah and dayooth to this extent, it's wrong and extreme. But these red pill and incel men go their own way Muslims, and the Salafis and the holier than thou women, they don't care. Pathetic idiots. Yeah, there's Muslim women who do wear bikinis. There's Muslim women who show off their breasts, their entire legs. I'm talking about thighs all the way down. There's Muslim women who show off their bottoms, their behinds. There's Muslim women who wear very tight and revealing clothes, and clothes that are meant to show off body parts. There's Muslim women who shake their body parts, which can be done by Muslim women who are covered head to toe or just completely naked. There's Muslim women who engage in porn. There's Muslim women who dress in a very slutty way, in a very dirty way, like many non-Muslim women do. There's Muslim women who do that. There's Muslim women who have OnlyFans accounts who strip at strip clubs. There's Muslim women who go to nightclubs and twerk. These women are examples of tabarruj. These the men of these women, so their brothers and fathers and husbands and even mothers, they are dayooth. This is where it stops. It doesn't go any further than this. There's very popular men's magazines and websites. They often have sections that are meant to portray, very beautiful women. These women are often dressed very immodestly, or they're nude, or they're doing something very sexual and seductive. Again, that's the tabarruj. The men of these women have no gheerah. I mentioned in my hijab video, we live in a world where we concentrate so much on a woman, on how a Muslim woman is clothed and what her shapes are like. It's done by both men and women, Muslim women. In fact, I've said this before, I often feel like it's Muslim women who often, look down on other Muslim women. They're the ones who raise their gazes on behalf of their husbands and brothers. We live in a world where Muslim men and Muslim women notice more about another Muslim woman. They notice more about her shapes and skin than that Muslim woman knows herself. We live in a world where Islam starts and ends with a woman's clothing and how she appears. It's stupid. It's wrong. I mentioned in my hijab video, how hijab is not commanded at all in the Quran. If we take the most literal and most strict reading of the Quran and Hadith, we find nothing at all about what Muslim women should cover and what they should and how to cover. As long as they're not doing anything sexual or dressed in any kind of sexual way, it's fine. Even at the end of the day, this is a reminder to myself too, because I said in my hijab video, I have no respect for Muslim women who dress in a sexual manner. I've got no respect for Muslim women who are covered head to toe, but they do sexual things. I mentioned in that hijab video how there is Muslim countries where where Muslim women are covered head to toe, but dancing and twerking is part of the culture. So it's obviously a sexual act. I've said I despise all of that, as any Muslim should. At the same time, it's not the end of Islam. At the end of the day, Islam is still far more than what a woman wears and what she's doing. It's still far more than that. And this is a reminder to me as well. Even if there's filthy dressing by Muslim women, even if they're twerking and whatnot, and Islam condemns this, obviously. But at the end of the day, Islam is still far more than what women are doing. Keep in mind, there's also, there's actual provocative and sleazy and sexually modest clothing. And then there are Muslims who exaggerate and say, oh, that clothing is provocative and sleazy, when it really isn't. I mentioned in my hijab video, there's Muslim countries where niqab and burqa and jilbab is the norm. And when they go to other Muslim countries where it's not the norm, I'm not talking about the secular ones. For example, I'll talk about Pakistan. In Pakistan, Muslim women usually don't have their heads covered, but they're wearing their cultural clothes. But if Muslims from countries where hijab and niqab and burqa is a norm, and they go to Pakistan, they'll obviously say, oh my god, this is sleazy, immodest sexual clothing. It's not. They're just not used to it. They're just not used to seeing that. It's so annoying to see memes. There's Muslim memes and images where they show scantily clad women And then at the same time, they'll show a Muslim woman in a burqa or niqab or jilbab, and there'll be a caption saying, "Pick what Muslim woman you want to be," or they'll pick, which man of these two women that we showed, which one is a dayooth. Yeah, obviously, in dayooth, in this, it makes sense in this case. If a Muslim woman is very scantily dressed, obviously, dayooth and gheerah and tabarruj apply here. But these memes, they make a mistake. As I mentioned in my hijab video, they always show like these are the only two kinds of Muslim women that exist. You're either wearing a niqab or burqa or jilbab or hijab, or you're completely nude or dressed immodestly, and there's nothing in between. Stupid, wrong, and inaccurate in so many ways. There is modest clothing. Okay, you can be modest without hijab. You can be modest without niqab and burqa. Then there is immodest clothing or sexual clothing, which can be done by Muslim women in hijab. And also keep in mind, immodest behavior can also be done by Muslim women in hijab and jilbab, because it kind of allows women to express their sexuality without anyone actually knowing who that is. And then there's clothing that is in neither category. There's clothing that's neither modest or immodest. Non-hijab can fall into this category. The point I'm trying to make is that only immodest, only sexually immodest, and only immodest behavior is what's to be condemned, and nothing more. I mentioned in my hijab video the history of clothing in the subcontinent. So that's Pakistan, India, Bangladesh. Islam ruled this whole region for 1300 years. Various Muslim empires ran this region, the Indian subcontinent. Why didn't they mandate hijab or niqab or burqa? Why didn't the ulama in these Muslim empires, why didn't they issue fatwas against Muslim women and how they're not wearing hijab or niqab or burqa? Why didn't they issue fatwas saying it's mandatory for all Muslim women to wear hijab, niqab, and burqa? For 1300 years, Islam ruled the subcontinent. 1300 years, various Islamic empires ruled what is present-day Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. And and I mentioned, previously that how hijab and niqab and burqa, it's never been in the culture for women to wear these types of clothing in this region. So, but where was the mandate from the highest sheikh, the highest mufti, saying Muslim women must wear hijab and burqa and niqab? It wasn't there. They didn't do it because they didn't think that hijab and niqab and burqa and jilbab are mandatory for Muslim women. Okay, so that was my kind of response to the Muslims who use the colonialism excuse, who say, it's because of colonialism that Muslim women don't wear hijab and niqab and burqa. It's true for many secular Muslim countries that I already mentioned, the Arab ones, the African ones, the European ones, Central Asian ones. It's true for them if they don't wear hijab and niqab, because a lot of the time it's Muslim women from these countries that they dress very, very Western, not just Western, but very Western. It's true that colonialism is affecting them. It's not true for the Muslims of the subcontinent, where the traditional clothes is often worn, because this is how their ancestors did it for over 1,000 years. This is how Um, it was, and the ulama for 1300 years never mandated hijab and niqab and burqa among Muslim women. Hijab, niqab, and burqa was hardly worn. In fact, as I've said before, it's only become recently common for Muslim women in Pakistan and India and Bangladesh to wear it. But historically, it wasn't. And historically, the ulama, okay, the muftis and mullahs and sheikhs, they made no mandate for Muslim women to wear it. For 1300 years, it was like this. This is why I've said, hijab, niqab, and burqa, it's less likely to be worn by Muslim women from Pakistan and India and Bangladesh. And this is the reason why. It's never been in the culture. It was never mandated by any kind of sheikh or mufti or ulama. So the colonialism excuse makes no sense here, as I've said before. When I was in junior high and high school, we would get agendas, and on it would have like there would be a section for dress codes. It would often say that girls, they can't show off their cleavage. They have to cover up their cleavage. They have to keep their belly buttons covered, and they have to if they wear any kind of skirt, it has to go beyond the knees, even when they sit down. When I was in junior high and high school, yoga pants and tight jeans weren't really a thing back then. I mean, jeans did exist, but they weren't like super tight. But think about it, why did they come to this? Why was it in our agendas that, girls can't wear, tight and revealing clothes? The schools had psychologists and teachers and administrators who worked, for many, many years in these schools, who make these agendas. They knew what was inappropriate. They knew, after observing the behavior of boys, what kind of clothing is inappropriate. Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make, is that, as I said before, the breasts, legs, the waist, the butt, the vagina, these are the parts of women that men go crazy over. These are the parts that Islam commands women to cover, as I mentioned in the hijab video. And you can see the non-Muslim teachers and psychologists, they also see it as well. They know what causes boys to get aroused. They know what causes the attention of boys. It's when girls wear clothing that shows off these body parts. As I also said in the hijab video, I went to a mixed public school here in the West. Mixed gender public school. There was nothing but white liberal kids. I know how the boys would talk about girls. I know what body parts they were checking out, because I was doing the same thing. Only difference is I wasn't asking these girls out on dates. The women who had these body parts covered, who covered their chests and didn't show off their behinds and legs, the horny teen boys, me included, we didn't check them out. We didn't raise our gaze at them. We might have thought they were beautiful and good looking, but that's the most it got to. There was no lustful feeling. Lust and arousal in men and boys only happens when women show off these body parts. And sometimes, as I said, sometimes women don't show off these body parts, but they're just naturally curvy, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with it. If men get aroused at a curvy woman, but she's not showing off her body, there's no blame on her. There's only ever blame when the woman is purposely showing off her body parts. Okay. The concepts of gheerah, tabarruj, and dayooth, it's often also brought up by the Salafis and the red pill Incel Muslim men and the self-righteous holier than thou women. By the way, these three categories of people that I mentioned, I've talked about them, in my previous videos. So if you want more context about them, you can go watch those. But these three categories of people, they will say that it's haram for Muslim women to be on social media. I mean, to upload photos of themselves. They will say that this is tabarruj, this is unlawful beauty. They will say the men have no gheerah, they have no protective jealousy if their wives and sisters and daughters, if they upload photos of themselves on social media. They will say the men of these women, the brothers and fathers and husbands, they're dayooth. Again, they're wrong. There is nothing wrong with a Muslim woman appearing on social media, uploading photos. It's not wrong at all. I've repeatedly mentioned what is wrong. I mentioned those three conditions. If those three conditions are not met, it's fine.